Hello, teachers, judges, and fellow students. My name is Stella O'Neill, and today I will address the question, are Ukraine and Russia ready to engage in serious peace talks? This is not just a question of war or peace for two nations. It's a test of humanity's ability to resolve conflicts in an interconnected world. After nearly 2 years of devastating war, the stakes are higher than ever. Over 14 million Ukrainians have been displaced, entire cities have been leveled, and the global economy has been disrupted. Yet, even amidst this devastation, the hope for peace persists. To address this complex question, I'll make 3 claims. 1. Current conditions suggest that neither side is genuinely ready to negotiate. 2. External factors like international influence complicate the possibility of peace talks. And 3. Despite the challenges, there are signs that groundwork for future talks are being laid. To address my first claim, neither side appears genuinely ready to negotiate. First, let's examine the current conditions. Leaders on both sides have demonstrated little interest in meaningful compromises. Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky has maintained a firm stance that Ukraine will not cede any of its territory. For this position is not just political, it's deeply personal for Ukrainians who have witnessed their homes destroyed, their cities bombed, and their family members killed. On the other hand, Russia's President Vladimir Putin shows no signs of prioritizing diplomacy over military ambition. In fact, it has escalated operations and annexed Ukrainian territories, claiming them as part of Russia. This demonstrates a clear unwillingness to consider territorial compromises, one of the most basic requirements for meaningful negotiations. According to a 2023 report by International Crisis Group, both nations viewed war as existential. For Ukraine, it's a fight for survival and sovereignty, and for Russia, it's framed as a battle against NATO, expansion, and defense of its historical spheres of influence. These entrenched narratives make compromise not just difficult, but almost impossible, as each side sees any concession as a betrayal of their core values. Moreover, public opinion on both sides adds another layer of complexity, as a recent survey by the Kyiv International Institute of Sociology found that over 80% of Ukrainians oppose any peace deal that involves territorial concessions. Similarly, state-controlled media in Russia perpetuates narratives that portray war as a righteous cause, making it politically risky for Putin to appear weak. Claim 2. External factors complicate peace talks. Secondly, external factors significantly complicate the prospect of peace talks. The involvement of international players has turned the conflict into a broader geopolitical struggle. Western nations, particularly in the United States and European Union, have provided billions of dollars to military aid to Ukraine. This aid is crucial for Ukraine's survival, but it also reduces incentives for immediate peace talks. With advanced weaponry and financial support, Ukraine feels embodiment to reclaim occupied territories rather than settle for a negotiated agreement. For instance, the delivery of long-range missile systems in 2023 enabled Ukraine to strike strategically Russian targets, bolstering its confidence to a military solution. On the other side, Russia has relied on support from allies like China and Iran. Despite facing severe economic sanctions, Russia has managed to sustain its war effort through arms deals and trade agreements with these nations. According to Carnegie Endowment for International Peace, China's tacit support for Iran and Iran's provisions for drones have allowed Russia to maintain its military capabilities, reducing its need to seek peace. These external factors create a stalemate. Ukraine's Western allies may not want to push for immediate peace talks if they believe a stronger military position can be achieved. Similarly, Russia's allies enable it to resist international pressure, making it meaningful negotiations unlikely. Furthermore, the global economic impact of the war complicates the situation. Rising energy prices, food shortages, and inflation have affected millions worldwide. The war has turned the world into a global crisis with too many stakeholders, each with their own interest, making it harder to find a resolution. Finally, addressing my third claim, groundwork for future talks are being laid. Despite these challenges, there are glimmers of hope. Both Ukraine and Russia have shown a willingness to engage in limited agreements. The Black Sea grain deal brokered by Turkey and United Nations allowed for the safe export of Ukrainian grain to alleviate global food shortages. While the deal was suspended in mid-2023, its initial success demonstrated that even in the darkest times, dialogue is possible. Similarly, there have been prisoner exchanges between the two sides, mediated by international organizations. These exchanges show that humanitarian considerations can occasionally transcend political stalemates. In addition, global leaders continue to push for peace. countries like Turkey and Saudi Arabia have offered to host negotiations, demonstrating the international community's commitment to mediation. Pope Francis has also made personal appeals to both sides, emphasizing the moral imperative for peace. Even with Russia and Ukraine's individuals and groups advocating for dialogue, civil society organizations, religious leaders, and some opposition voices continue to call for an end to the bloodshed. While these efforts may seem small, in the grand scheme of things, they represent seeds of hope for a future where peace talks can be a reality. In conclusion, while Russia and Ukraine are not ready to engage in serious peace talks, the situation is not entirely devoid of hope. There are uncompromising positions and the influence of external actors that make immediate negotiations unlikely. However, small steps like humanitarian agreements, international mediation show that dialogue, while limited, is not impossible. As young people and as students, we might feel far removed from this conflict, but we are part of the global community. Understanding these issues is the first step towards advocating for peace. Let's remember that even in the face of deep divisions, the pursuit of dialogue and understanding is always worth the effort. This is not just on them. Thank you.